Alrighty, Batman 153, written by Canada's own Chip Zdarsky and drawn by George Jimenez. Before I get into the actual comic, because I think the number one question I want to answer is this an actually good jumping on point for new readers? Because that was kind of their whole thing. New beginning, new jumping on point, new team, new stories. Yeah. That's what they were saying this whole time. And I kind of bought into the hype, to be honest. I kind of did. What I'm doing now is I'm reading, my goal at least was to read every in continuity Batman story from 2011 and onward. So I finished all of Scott Snyder, and I'm currently in the still kind of the early stages of Tom King's run. And the plan was after that do a James Tynion's run, and then kind of lead into the Chip Zdarsky run, and then when I'm finished with the trade paperbacks of the Chip Zdarsky run, then transition into getting the floppies. But I kind of jumped the gun a bit. Why? Because I also kind of just bought into the hype of, oh, it's a new beginning, we're all in, everyone's all in. And honestly, what kind of did get it for me is the fact that they changed the logo. It's a stupid thing, but like every other year they're like, oh, it's a new jumping on point, yada yada yada. But when you change the logo, I feel like you're saying something like, okay, we're actually restarting some stuff. So the question today is this story actually a new jumping on point for new readers? Because I myself am a new reader. I'm still in the 2017-2018 continuity. So between like 2017 and 2024, I really don't know anything that happened in the mainline Batman continuity. Obviously, I know a few things. I know a couple spoilers and big plot details, but just story by story, I have no clue. So is this a good start for new readers? I'm going to say a soft yes. So much things have changed. So much things has changed. Mild spoilers. Just right off the bat, Commissioner Gordon is not Commissioner Gordon anymore. It's Private Detective Gordon. This man has his own PI business, and Vandal Savage is in the GCPD now. What? Who did that? Who? Again, years of not reading Batman continuity. I have no idea. Also, the mayor of Gotham is like Asian Nick Fury, I guess. Interesting. Another change is Lucius Fox retired, which I mean makes sense. He's an old guy. He had to step down at some point. So the main crux of the story is pretty much the Riddler got out of prison under a technicality. There was some mishap with his trial. He's out and he's rehabilitated now, magically rehabilitated, and he's like a crypto millionaire. Okay, Riddler's a crypto millionaire, and he's kind of laid down the bad guyness. And for some reason, Gotham kind of believes him. It's 50-50. I don't know why it would be 50-50. Why you would believe this guy who has caused so much havoc. Again, I don't really know what's happened in between 2017 to now, so I don't know if he's done some magical good deed or something that made everyone in Gotham forget the terrible things he's done. But apparently, Gotham doesn't fully hate him because of some weird technicality in court. Okay, and obviously he has some weird bad master plan. Of course he does, because when has the villain actually ever turned good and stayed good for more than like 2 issues? When does that ever happen? So obviously Batman is sniffing something out. He knows something is amok. And I do like a part in the story where, but at least on paper, by the books, it seems like the Riddler is doing everything legal, and Batman is the one currently doing the illegal stuff by breaking and entering in Riddler's building. So I thought that flip was kind of funny as of right now, because obviously Riddler is gonna do something terrible in the next 2 issues. God knows what. Something else I realized is we actually don't get to see a lot of Batman in this issue. It's a very Bruce Wayne focused issue, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I did kind of enjoy it. It's a bit of a change of pace. They're kind of taking the Matt Reeves Batman route, where it's kind of like, oh yeah, let me stop beating up criminals and let me just give money. That'll solve the problem. And not everyone's on board with that. You got some protesters that aren't a big fan of that. And even at the very end, you have Bruce Wayne literally acknowledging it. And I do love this acknowledgement. He says, I feel it in my chest. The evil is doing the work, and Bruce Wayne won't be able to stop it. Batman is still needed, and it breaks my heart. He knows that he can't. Money's not going to solve the problem. He has to put on the cowl and beat some guy's ass. He has to do it. Yeah, and I like that. It does seem, from what I do know, couple years ago, I think during Joker War, I believe, he lost all his money. And I don't know when, but some recent issue, he got all his money back. So it seems like between then and now, he's been just kind of in max Bruce Wayne mode and just full on philanthropist. And I guess it's solving some problems, but it's not solving all the problems. The last the last thing I'll talk about that happens in this book is we get like DC's version of Captain America. And so just there's some heist going on, and Mr. Captain America comes in and saves the day. Batman's there too, and Mr. Captain America uses a gun to stop the suspect. And Batman's like, "Yo, what the hell are you doing? Why are you using a gun?" And then Vandal Savage comes, and the Captain America dude introduces himself, and Vandal Savage is like, "Oh yeah, dude, you're awesome." And the mayor, Mr. Asian Nick Fury, is like, "We can't have two vigilantes. This town isn't big enough for two vigilantes." And Vandal Savage is like, "Yeah, Batman, get the hell out. I like this new guy that I've seen for 30 seconds and use a gun on a criminal." And then the police turn on Batman. Again, new reader friendly, interesting. And that was just like so casually brushed away, like one page, literally one page. You got all these cops turning their guns on Batman, and the next page this dude just getting stitched up like nothing happened. Like the whole force didn't just turn on Batman for some random ass Captain America that showed up for 3 minutes and shot a guy. I think that's probably the most frustrating part of the comic. It's not really explained, and it just happens. I hope it's addressed in the following issues. Also, what the hell is Vandal Savage doing in the GCPD again? I have a lot of stuff to catch up on. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, overall, if you're a new reader, you're not going to get lost. I never got lost. I was never confused in the issue. But little things like that. Like, who is this mayor? Why is Vandal Savage part of the GCPD? I just finished reading Volume 1 of Rebirth just like a couple weeks ago. And it's literally the same thing where like a new hero comes to Gotham, and within like 3 issues the guy gets corrupted and turns against the city. Like, so it's fresh in my head even though it came out like almost a decade ago. So seeing this like weird Captain America guy, it's just like so obvious that it's not going to end well, especially like his first move to take down the bad guy is shoot the guy. Obviously it's not going to end well, so I don't even know where they're going with that. And just like they didn't even try. Like they didn't even try to not make him look like Captain America. He even has like the where is it? Where's my finger? He even has like the red and white stripes on the chest. Like it is like, come on, change something. Like I get you're trying to do the American flag, but like you gotta change it up a bit, you know. But speaking of the design and the art, I actually was extremely surprised by the art. I've been reading some of George Jimenez's stuff. I did read the Scott Snyder Justice League run, and honestly, not only was that run hit or miss for me, the art in that run was hit or miss. Something about that art, it just didn't really vibe well with me. This, on the other hand, I loved. I was genuinely not expecting to like it as much as I did. It was a pleasure to look at. Even though I was a bit confused at times, even though the story didn't make as much sense as I thought it would, it was great to look at. The action is great. The character designs are great. The line work is great. It's a great looking book. I think it's great. Even though not necessarily a lot of action happens, it's a very dialogue heavy book. It's a very just like walking around doing things, giving money to poor people book. That's okay. We're setting things up. I don't mind this. I like it. I won't spoil the ending, but it does hint at a Court of Owls stuff referencing a potential brother. And again, how I don't know how necessarily new reader friendly that is. Technically, I'm a new reader, and I kind of picked up on like I obviously know who the Court of Owls is, but if this is your like first new Batman comic that you've ever read, you're going to be lost. You're definitely going to be lost. I wasn't necessarily lost at times, but I was definitely confused. I'm trying to catch myself up on what I remember and trying to fill in some puzzle pieces. So is this a good book for new readers? I think if you have a general knowledge of the content of the Batman continuity in the last 10 years, you'll figure it out. You'll kind of puzzle it together. If this genuinely is your very first like mainline new Batman comic ever, there's things that you're going to be like, what the hell is this? I'm so confused. So, do your research, watch a 30-minute quick recap of every Batman comic in the last 10 years on YouTube. I'm sure there's a couple out there, and I think you'll be fine. I think the last thing I'll talk about is something that I actually found kind of refreshing in this comic was how there was not one single person in the Bat family at all. And I'm really not used to seeing that. I can't think of the last time I've read a Batman comic where it was just Batman. There wasn't Oracle, there wasn't a Robin, there wasn't a Batwoman, there wasn't Alfred, there wasn't anyone. The only like recognizable person other than Batman is I was about to say Commissioner Gordon, but he's not even a commissioner anymore. It's P.I. Gordon. Again, when did this man become a P.I.? I mean, I don't know. The whole, like, obviously the GCPD is terrible for Gordon, but the whole point of Gordon being there is so he can kind of, bring some common sense to the GCPD so it doesn't turn into total chaos. And now that Vandal Savage is apparently in control of GCPD, and they turn against Batman when freaking Captain America shows up, like, stay. Why are you PIing Jade? Like, stay back in the GCPD. Bring some common sense to them. I don't know. I'm excited to see where it goes. It's definitely new. It's definitely. I feel like I'm repeating myself, so I'm just gonna end it here. I'm gonna give this book a 7.5 out of 10. I'm excited to see what happens next month, and I'm excited to read what I'm reading in Rebirth. I feel like I'm like doing two parallel continuities that eventually is going to collide into each other at some point. So I guess I'm going to have all my answers filled in the next upcoming months when I read all those trade paperbacks that I've been collecting between 2016 and 2024. Does Batman go all in? I would say yes, for the most part. For the most part. I think it's a interesting start to the new continuity. I know that Chip Zdarsky's run has been very controversial. I haven't really heard anyone say they loved it, to be honest. I've watched a lot of reviews of the Batman comics he's been writing, and it's been very mixed. It's been very mixed. A lot of people don't like it. Some people like it, but I haven't heard any like, oh my gosh, guys, this is like the next legendary Batman run. So hopefully you can turn things around, and maybe this is the arc that's gonna really cement him as the one of the greatest Batman writers. I don't know. I'm optimistic. And that's that. Batman All In, The Dying City #1. Awesome.